How did Andersons start? That happened a long time ago in the Bronx. My dad was a lawyer, but he didn't like it. So he said, okay. He talked to my mom and they said, let's open a shop right next to a movie theater in the Bronx. Back then, movie theaters were a big deal and everybody went to the movie theaters right after the war. So after the movie theaters, the manager would call them up and say, hey, we're gonna let out in 10 minutes, and everybody would go get ice cream. That store was a great store for them. They decided to sell the store in the Bronx and come to Buffalo. So they opened a store on Kenmore Avenue in 47, and were there for about 4 years. Then they didn't have big enough parking spaces. So they built a new store on Sheridan Drive, and that's our original. They sold eggs and milk and ice cream. Frozen custard, actually. And every lunch time, they would look down the road at Ted's and say, look how busy they are. And they said, we have to come up with a sandwich or something. They traveled around and they came up with roast beef and Kimmelwick. That has evolved now to over half our business. They worked the business in 1984. They decided to retire. And they came to all the kids and said, hey, anybody want this business to take over? Otherwise, we're gonna sell it. I came back in the business in 1984. My brother eventually came back, and then my sister became involved also. So we started expanding, and we opened this store on Main Street in Williamsville. Well, we bought the land in '87. It took us 2 years to get it built, and we opened in '89. And then we opened a few more stores after that. We sort of stuck with 6 stores. That's where we are today. This building was built in '89. We replaced the roof once already, but this roof was really difficult. We had parapet walls, we had really small valleys. So we always had a problem with this roof and leaking. So we replaced it. It really didn't work out, and we said, we gotta find a solution for this. So we really looked around, and I remember talking to Dalex about my personal home, and my wife talked to him at the home show, and we were pretty impressed with them. They came in and we showed them the problems that we were having with the roof, and they came up with some pretty innovative solutions. As a restaurant, we wanted to be open during construction, during the whole process. That's not easy to do when you're doing a roof. These guys worked around us completely, and we didn't have to close at all. Business flowed like they weren't even here. Dimitri and his brothers, really impressed with them and happy with their work. And the crew they had were such hard workers, it was amazing. They would come and work all day long and extra if we had to, just so we could get the job done on a timely basis. They did such a good job here at our Williamsville location. We hired them to do 2 other locations of ours, one out on Transit in Lancaster, and then one on Union Road in Cheektowaga. Those were a little simpler roofs, but they did a really fast and really good job on those 2. The roof here in Williamsville was pretty challenging. The parapet walls aren't normal on roofs, the small valleys. We had ice problems and everything like that. Dimitri recommended a product that they use called Hydrostop. So we went with that, and the product came out great. So we were all about using the best quality product, and we're pretty excited about that. That was a big in our decision making. We were so impressed with them. We're really happy with Dalex, and we would recommend them, and we'll use them as we need repairs or new roofs at our other locations. And they did a great job.